Hi, this is Judi Bonilla, and welcome to the Encore Chat. This is where we talk to people who are involved in social media, law, um, marketing, and those who can really give us some information as many of us reinvent our careers, launch businesses, and begin life as an entrepreneur. I actually connected on Blab to Brad on Blab a few weeks ago, and have been following him on Snapchatter's podcast. He actually gave me a brilliant tutorial the first meeting, so I have to thank him and was super excited that he could be with us today. So Brad, please fill in the blanks of what I might have left off there.
You did great. You kidding me? That was awesome. Well done. My name's Brad, Next Gen Bizman on Snapchat and pretty much everywhere else on social media. I own a social media first marketing agency I founded last year in Montana. In fact, that's where I live. That's where I'm broadcasting from. And Snapchat has been somewhat of a very keen interest of mine for the last 6 months, very intensively 6 months. And I just saw an opportunity for a podcast dedicated specifically for Snapchat because A, a lot of people learn through Snapchat or through podcasts, and B, I could find single episodes all day about Snapchat, but not one particular podcast solely for the platform. And as I believe we're on that tipping point of mass adoption, it's just the perfect time to do it. So I might not be necessarily like the right guy with the right voice to do it, but I just decided to go all in.
I was going to say, you're the voice that we chose. We like your voice. And I'll tell you, the reason why the group that Blab that we met on, Brad breaks it down. He explains it. For, those of us who are on social media obviously are keen and encouraged and want to get involved in the conversation. Brad made it really easy and simple to do so, which is huge in this market because what do we know? We have people who talk at us, but not to us. So on that note, can you kind of recap some of the podcasts that you've cut so far and tell us, where I'll say when I started promoting the show, it's, I think we all need to have a basic knowledge of Snapchat because if it isn't our target market, it's our influencers. So on that note, if you can kind of tie some of your podcast in and what you've learned and what our audience might be interested in. And then we'll take some questions as we move along.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with the first part of that question, as far as what I've covered so far in the podcasts, we've had 7 episodes drop now, finally in iTunes. Took about a month and a half to get that done, but now we're finally there. So if you type in the Snapchatters podcast in iTunes, hit subscribe, you'll be able to get a fresh episode every Friday. So far, we've covered a lot. And I got to tell you, by interviewing experts, it makes me feel smarter, right? So like I'm learning from the best, and I'm a total student of the game kind of guy. And I think if you're going to do anything in social media, you have to have a learn first mentality always, but just because it changes so much. And Snapchat is certainly no exception to that. We've covered things like, the basics as far as after you've downloaded the app, where do I go from here, right? So and actually, Judi was my very first interview on the Snapchatters podcast, totally. And we did a little tutorial through there, and we just covered the lay of the land, right? Learning how to swipe up, swipe down, left and right, learning where the screens are because almost 100% of the people that have downloaded Snapchat instantly look at it when it opens up and it says, okay, now what the heck am I doing? Because it doesn't look like any other app that you've had. There's no home button. There's no... nothing looks familiar. So from that first episode, we covered those basics of where to go. And then we've kind of graduated into, how to tell a story and how to, upload stories and how to target certain people when you tell stories. We've covered some amazing tips and tricks on the show so far. And I think for your audience, and to get to your second part of your question, if your target audience is not on Snapchat, that's okay. Like you said, the influencers are there right now. There's a lot of people that you can go there now and you can learn from. The best way to learn Snapchat, and I'll go on record by saying this, the best way to learn is just by watching people do it. So, I'll give you some key people to follow here in this show so that you can, once you download the app, I'll show you how to add friends and things like that. I'll explain what this little yellow square is all about. We'll talk about snap codes, and just start following people and watch how they tell stories and how they interact. What I think a lot of marketers are missing right now, and there's an awful lot of Snapchat experts out there, and I am not the guy that's like going to slam anybody by any means, but I think what's being missed in the conversation about Snapchat is the conversations that take place on Snapchat. And that's really where the depth of the relationships are built. And that's where you're going to find the most value, whether you're connecting with potential clients or current customers, your brother, a cousin in Texas. It doesn't matter. Like, we're all humans on this platform. And the more human and social you are, the more value you're going to get out of it.
I like the way, can I say that is super powerful, because what do we know? People do business with people they know, like, and trust. And what better way to build credibility and I'll say community than with interacting. And I really want to go back to what you said initially about the storytelling and the stories that can be created.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things. I think what I've ran into people say before in the past is I'm just not the creative type, right? The fact of the matter is we're all, as living, breathing humans on this planet, we are surrounded by a story every day. Some people will snap about their day and tell, little snaps throughout the day. I don't personally really enjoy those, but I do get an inside look at somebody's life that way. You know what I mean? So if you're snapping, on the way to work, by the way, don't snap and drive. Stop it.
You heard it from Brett. Don't snap and drive.
Don't snap and drive. Stop it. Anyways, but, taking stuff along the way to work, taking it to work, introducing to people, like, it's just, Snapchat is such an awesome little window into your life that you might think your life is boring, but your followers want more of it. And this week I've been absolutely terrible at telling stories. I haven't told anything on Snapchat, but I have been talking one-on-one with all kinds of brand new followers.
Wow.
And it's just been an extremely enriching experience.
Wow.
I don't know if we necessarily covered the question. Sorry, Judi.
That was that part, that storytelling, I think, is so important. When you're building a brand, when you're building your credibility, for some of us, we want to get more speaking gigs as subject matter experts. And what better way when you can connect with those in your community. So if that's the way we do it with stories. So in your 7 podcasts and the people that you've spoken to, what do they see as compelling stories? Is there a format that people want to follow when creating a story in Snapchat?
I don't think there's been a clear answer to that question. I think so far it's been pretty much different. There is a common theme, and that is to bring a smile to somebody's face at some point. And I think that's a very human emotion, and that's something that we can all, pretty much connect to, right? Like if you watch my snaps, and I might think it's the most ridiculous thing that I'm putting out there, but if you smiled and you took a few minutes out of your day and I made you smile, then, I've accomplished something. As marketers, we're always like, okay, I'm here. How do I make money? How do I target? How do I add? How do I do all of this? But really, with Snapchat, you break it down to the basics and you just start personal. And that's pretty much what everybody has talked about so far. I want to give a shout out right now in the room. Aaron FPS was episode 6 of the Snapchatters podcast. This young man is somebody that you are going to want to follow. Very, very bright, extremely talented young man. And he's just man, talking to him was like talking to a friend, because we've
Cool.
we've connected on Snapchat so well, and the Twitters and everything, and then just bringing him over to Blab and showing him Blab, it was like we traded values. Like I got to learn a little bit more about Snapchat from somebody that teaches a lot of people through YouTube, through a powerful YouTube channel. And I got to teach him about Blab at the same time. That was really cool. We got to trade that way. So make sure that you connect with Aaron on Snapchat.
Okay. Great. I was just going to say, I'm looking for Aaron right now. Okay. I see it's at Aaron FPS.
Yep. And that's the same name that you'll find him on Snapchat as well. So if you're curious what his Snapchat name is, that's the one.
Cool. Welcome, Aaron.
Absolutely.
All right.
He's awesome.
So those of us who are looking at Snapchat for the first time, what are some of the rules? Because it doesn't look like anything we've ever done. And if you don't know who to follow, well, now you know you're going to follow Aaron at FPS. But what are some basic, I'll say, good neighbor rules, before you start? What do you want to think of?
So when you first open your app, you get right to the camera, right? So, hey, what's up, guys? Hey, there's a good looking redhead right there too. All right. So this is what you see, right? You got just your camera, and already it looks very unfamiliar. The best part about Snapchat is you can't accidentally send somebody a message. So go ahead and take a deep breath. Don't worry. You're not going to accidentally send your snap to your entire following. It's actually very intentional how you can send snaps. And that's what we call messages on Snapchat, right? So just a little bit basic here. Let me see if I can dim my screen a little bit so that it appears better on. Wow.
So while you're doing that, the way I saw Snapchat and talking to Brad and following him and just, I'll say, lurking behind, is that what you might want to do is a day in the life. And it could be a day in your life, a day in your client's life, or a day in your bakery's life, a day in your coffee house, so that you are starting to tell short personal stories and people getting an inside look at what goes on. I think we always enjoy those outtakes at the end of movies where the cast gets in. That's what Snapchat is able to do, is tell those personal stories. And I think that makes it a compelling business, people you want to know. Are you ready to roll, Brad?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yep. Okay. So from the camera here, go ahead and swipe. Oh, that's the wrong direction. That's for your chat. We'll get to that in a second. But this is basically what Snapchat calls a news feed. Okay. So this is where your curated brand enterprise content is up here. There's all kinds of brands. I can't live without Food Network snaps. I'm a nerd that way. I love watching them. It's good stuff. This is where your friends are, and this is where their stories live. All right. So I'm going to tap on the Blackhawks because I'm a huge hockey fan, not necessarily Blackhawks fan, but this is an NHL team. All right. National Hockey League. And what they do is they literally go behind the scenes. All right. So I've seen these guys at practice facilities when the team has been on the road. I've seen them on buses, on planes. I've seen them do goofy stuff in the locker room. I've seen a lot of community engagement from the players. It's a really cool thing, right? So a story is what you make of it. And you never know what resonates with your audience until you put something out there. Does that kind of answer that question?
Definitely. Because what I'm trying to encourage those of you who are not Snapchatting, what you might want to, those are the ways you can look at your businesses. So if you are, like say, I mentioned the food industry, the wine and beverage industry. I mean, we each have a unique pattern to our day. And if you can share those stories, that's one way. But what I heard from Brad is just to start. And what you may do is just start following people. I suggest you follow Brad. I also suggest you follow, I wrote it down here, FPS, at Aaron FPS for the tutorial. Are there some things that you've maybe noticed that people really don't like on Snapchat, like it's not where you know how we don't post a lot of text on Instagram per se. It's a visual platform. There's something you definitely don't want to post on Snapchat.
Well, no nudies. First of all,
you.
no nudies. But that's the platform itself is completely predicated on only visual content. So I have to either, in order to produce an actual story, an actual snap, I either have to take a picture or I have to take a video. And even then, nothing happens until I intentionally put it somewhere. Okay. So you can't just put a random text out there. You actually have to take a picture, right? So real quick, let's see if I can do this backwards. So this is the center button right here. That's your camera button. So tapping it will take a picture. Okay. If you don't like the picture, here's your X. Hit the X. Now I want to take a video. All right. And I'm going to say, oh, where am I?
Oh, I like that. Half in, half out.
Hey, I'm here with Judi Bonilla and the Encore chat, having an awesome time talking about Snapchat. Why don't you join me over there? Let's have fun. So the button turned red, and now it's going to replay. All right. So you get the choice now of where this is going to go. It's going to replay the whole 9 yards. And now what do we do with it, right? Well, I want to put it to what's called My Story. And what that does is that puts it into your Snapchat version of a news feed, okay? So there's a couple ways to do this. The most easiest way is to hit, or I'm looking backwards here. Okay, so you might not be able to see it because
the mic. Got it. Yep.
Yeah, but there's a square and a plus sign, okay? Actually, if I turn it to the side, maybe it'll, there we go.
Yep.
All right, okay. So the square with the plus sign, tap that, and, well, I hit text. That's in the 202 class. Here, let's just go this route. So this big old obnoxious arrow down here. Do you see that, guys?
Yep, I see it loud and clear. Yep.
Okay, cool. So I want to send this to my story. So I'm going to hit next. That's what that arrow is. So now it's going to take me to my news feed, but it's also going to take me to all my friends. So can you guys see the boxes next to the names?
I can see the boxes next to the names, yes.
Sweet. So if I want to start sending this to some of my friends, I can. Well, this is very different doing it like through a mirror. So I can send that snap to some of my friends, but I said I wanted to put it to my story, right? So do you see my story right there?
Yep, very clear.
Tap my story, and you can see the confirmation in the blue bar down here on the bottom.
Yep, very clear.
So now you already now have confirmation of where this is going to go. You know it's not going to get accidentally sent somewhere that you don't necessarily want it to go, right? So that's always fun. So tapping the arrow button once again is going to add it to my story. And you'll see that my story is now populating up here as a dot above the brand discovery row. Do you see that?
Yeah.
So that's basically how you do it. And you can tap on your story and you can watch it. And you can, if you scroll up on a story, I don't think I've had anybody watch this just yet, but you can, let me see. Yeah, it doesn't work if nobody's watched it, but you can tell who watches your stories by swiping up on your story from that screen I was just at, and it will name in sequential order from the most recent viewer to the oldest viewer. And that's really cool, right? Like you can tell who's watching your stories. You can tell who's engaged with your content. And sorry, I read Aaron's comment. I know he typed it in earlier, but no nudies.
Hey, it's good to know these things.
Excuse me. Right. So that's where you can put your story. I like to kind of call attention to my stories once in a while. So if I have more than 2 or 3 snaps in a story, you can take 10 seconds of video, okay, or however long you want, but up to 10 seconds. You can let your photos display up to 10 seconds. So I might put that to my story, and I might click on one of those names to call attention to the story, right? So it'll show up as a personal message on Snapchat, which you can tell from the home screen is this little icon right here. Okay. So you can get to your individual snaps, your direct snaps, I call them, by tapping that or by swiping in that direction. Come on, buddy.
It's hard to do it
there
backwards.
We go.
There you go.
Right. So, Jason sent me a snap there earlier, and you know what? I haven't seen it, so everybody's going to watch it with me. Oh, look at that. He was on a blab earlier. Don't we all live on blab?
I was going to say it's where all the cool kids are.
That's pretty much right. So, he's calling attention to his story. So now I'm like, oh, cool. What else was Jason up to today, right? So now his snap is gone away.
Right.
Okay, so that's where it lives. Now I don't have access to it unless I go back into his name. Come on. Why isn't it working backward? Oh, okay. If I want to watch it one more time, it's called replay. And you can have up to one replay here. So, or you can purchase multiple replays through Snapchat.
And you heard that, purchase.
Yep, you can purchase. Yeah. They've got to monetize, right?
Yeah.
So if I want to watch Jason's snap one more time, it's going to ask me if I want to replay his snap. And it notifies him that I'm replaying it too. So now he's like, oh, Brad just watched my snap again. And there we go. There it is.
Wow.
So those are some basics.
In that basic, you pointed out some crucial things that I'm hoping everyone else heard, in that we all start our weeks. I think most of us start our weeks on Sunday, preparing for what we're going to do. So if you are holding, I'll say, an event, a fundraiser, a meetup, some type of community gathering, you can start your Snapchats with simple stories that Sunday. How you're going to prepare for the week. Maybe you're going to do a half marathon, a fun run. Maybe you're going to paint the house. It might be you going to Lowe's or Home Depot and setting the frame. And then, Monday I've got, whatever I'm going to do, but you can tell a story and grow that following. So, again, each of us has our own niche. Whether I have a friend who does blown glass, it's Venetian glass. So it might start out with him, with his equipment, his materials that he's going to use, and how his art evolves over that week. And I think being able to engage with a client or a potential client or an influencer, that's a powerful way to build those advocates for your business.
Yeah, and Snapchat actually will add another layer to that, not almost, 100% intentionally. You may wonder how you even grow a following on Snapchat, and collaboration with some of the people that you like to do business with or that you have as customers is been the number one reason why my Snapchat following has blown up this month.
Wow.
I went into 2016 with 36 followers. I now have 512.
Wow.
I've never gotten, that's ridiculous. I've never had a social platform blow up like that before. And that's huge. One of those, I've never had I'm all about organic growth. I've never been that guy that buys followers. I think that's the world's worst thing to do in the entire world is lie to your followers. Yeah. But Snapchat, I've never been on a platform where it's grown like that organically, and it's all word of mouth.
That's huge. We're only in day 22.
When you work with somebody on Snapchat, you appear on their snaps, they're going to promote you to their following. And then that following starts adding you to their friends list. So, I mean, you start to talk about, I've reached out to 3, 4, 5 people. Now I'm doing a collaboration with one. You never know what's going to happen after that point. I mean, it's just been absolutely ridiculous and awesome at the same time.
Cool. This sounds, well, you gave us a brief tutorial. We talked about strategy. And now, are there any questions out there before we're almost coming up to the half-hour mark? And I'm respectful of Brad's time. He's on the road. So if there's any questions out there. Okay, I wasn't quite sure.
I can stick around.
Okay, if you can stick around. Do we have any questions? You're welcome to add. Or if you'd like to jump in, I'm happy to open up that third and fourth seat for conversation.
Yeah, guys. Judi, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm honored that you had me on the show, and this is really cool. I could talk about Snapchat for hours on end, right?
All right. So if there's no questions, then I'm going to say, do you have some like your?
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
We've got one. What type of collaborations have you done? Most recently, and this collaboration was a lot of fun, was with two guys that you need to follow if you're not already. Ben Phillips, you can find him at Figo Americano. And I'll type that in here. Figo Americano. And Blake Croft. And you can find Blake Croft at Blake C432, also typed in. So that's what you'll want to type in to your friends list. They did what's called a swap snap. Aaron, help me out here with that. Basically, they did a takeover of each other's account. Okay. Yes. So they know each other very well. And they just traded logins for a day just to see what would happen. But they made it a story. And the story was that one had somehow occupied the other's body overnight. Okay. So Ben wakes up as Blake and Blake wakes up as Ben. And now they're trying to get through the entire day as the other, living the other person's life. So it was a lot of fun. So they put it out to their following. Thank you, Aaron. Hashtag snap swap. They put it out to their following. Hey, send us some ideas about how to switch back because we're not sure how to do this.
Nice way to get engagement.
Exactly. Yep. Always ask your audience to participate. And I've got another cool trick for interaction and engagement after this if you want to hear it. But so I snapped him a very silly video. I had my hoodie on, some glasses, and a bandana. And I called myself the Ginger Guru. And I told them that to swap back, they both had to drink ginger ale at the same time. Like, just silly. Right. But Ben and Blake saw that, and they're like, they instantly reached out to me and they said, we have a great idea. Let's make you a part of our story. You're going to be the Snap Wizard. We'll create a fake Twitter handle for you. And we'll just be both searching. So anyway, long story short, I ended up creating another video for them that they edited and put into the story and basically told them that in order for them to switch bodies, they were going to have to share friends. So Blake's friends were going to have to follow Ben and Ben's friends were going to have to follow Blake. So then they each shared each other's snap code on those stories and they traded, and they traded friends and their following grew.
Wow.
The next day they introduced me and said, thanks to Brad, Next Gen Bizman, for being the Snap Wizard. Here's his code. And then that's when I got a ton of followers too. So, it was very fun and creative with some creative minds. And
huge. And when I hear that, my collaborative heart sings because what I just saw is a winemaker and a chocolatier. I just saw workout people with, I'll say, the yoga people with the activewear people. Talk about great collaboration, coffee house and music. I mean,
right?
That's huge.
My all-time favorite collaboration so far that I've seen on Snapchat, and again, I've only been there playing for 6 months. But after talking with some of these people that created what I'm about to tell you, I didn't participate in it, but I got to see several artists on Snapchat completely recreate frame by frame the Star Wars trailer to Star Wars The Force Awakens. And it was the most mind-blowing thing I've ever seen on my phone. These guys literally hand drew on Snapchat every single frame of that trailer. And on YouTube, if I don't have the link to it, maybe Aaron might be able to find it for me, but you can go on YouTube and there's a split screen of the original Star Wars trailer and the Snapchat collaborative Star Wars trailer. And it is frame by frame amazing. And that is what can happen when people pull together on Snapchat, bring their abilities, bring their ideas, and just put content out there, right?
Matt, is, like I say, I just think about all the artists I know, about doing a collaboration to, so many people have art exhibits, art shows, and it's trying to drive traffic. to their physical place, or a concert. And what a great way to do that swap, and tap into other like-minded audience. I think that was your first tap. What are the other, or first tip? What are the other two?
Shoot, take me back again. Where did we start?
we actually started up, I'll say, collaboration. And you
Yes.
just gave an example of great ways to collaborate.
Yeah, it's okay to be silly on Snapchat. In fact, it's totally awesome to be silly on Snapchat. I've seen, Aaron, he's in the room. He's done a lot of lip syncs where he'll make his own music video and he'll lip sync to it, and they are hilarious. I mean, absolutely awesome. I used to do this thing called Karaoke Fridays, which I might just have to bring back. And that's fun because you ask your followers to, sing or do a karaoke to their favorite song. And then, when they snap you, you can capture that through another device and then film with your Snapchat that deal. And now suddenly, oops, sorry, I keep hitting this thing. And now they're in your story too. So now whoever watches my story now sees me being a silly guy doing karaoke, and then they see my friends doing that as well. That's a cool collaboration. I mean, whatever you can think of, even if it's just as simple as sharing a snap code, and you do one snap today and you're like, you know what? Judi is doing some amazing things over on Snapchat. Here's her snap code. Get ready to screenshot this. And then in the next screen, it's just that. They take a screenshot, then they add you. It's a wonderful thing.
Cool. Well, I see a question from Nash. She's in the process of acquiring users for her startup. It's a food industry collaborative. How do I think about using Snapchat for this?
Yeah, the food industry. Wow. Food industry collaborative. I guess I'm not quite sure what that means. Is that like a co-op? Is that a...
So what I know of her business, it's an online platform, and what she's trying to do is connect, I'll say, farmers to restaurants, restaurants to, I'll say maybe somebody in social media to help them spread their message, so that, I think she often talks about being the Airbnb, where she's brought together these these different platforms, whether it's, food, I'll say coffee and a coffee house and a roaster together. So bringing in different types of people in the food industry. So,
all right, I thought of something.
Okay.
Like as soon as you said, from the farmers, that's really where the journey begins for the food. What if you, while you're collaborating with a farmer and you went out and you're looking at the product, what if you took some snaps of what the farmer is showing you? What if you introduce the farmer to your Snapchat following? What if we start talking about the freshness of the product? We start talking about how the farmer curates and cultivates and takes care of this, even before that product goes to the next level. Now your users have a very solid, concrete example of where that food came from. That's something that we haven't had in years past, right? So what I like to think of is, not just with Snapchat, but with, I'd love to come to San Diego. Oh, I'm working on it. Social media marketing world, here I come. I will hitchhike if I have to.
I was going to say, I'll be there. I'm looking for, I hope you're out here.
Right. I think that if you start using social media, unlike the way people in your industry are doing it, you can innovate and you can disrupt it. Right now, it's all ads, it's all spam, it's all look at me, look over here, look what I got, look what we can do, look what we did, splat the other thing. It gets adsy, it gets noisy, and guess what I'm doing? Ignoring it. But what gets my attention is something completely different. So a story with a farmer showing me the food, or maybe showing me the process of how that farmer has now connected with this particular restaurant or whatever, and watching them collaborate. What if you made a whole week worth of snaps just based on that? Like now you're not selling to me. What you're doing is you're giving me that backstory of your business that differentiates you from your competition, and that's what stands out. Now you're building trust from me into your brand, so you're building brand trust, and you're becoming a thought leader. And when I'm going to have a question about something like this, or I know somebody that has a question, guess who I'm going to think of? I've been following you on Snapchat and watching your snaps because you've been showing me all this stuff. Like, hey, that's the source I'm going to go to, not to the business that's just spent 15,000 on Facebook ads. I'm just saying, like,
and
be human, be personal.
Yeah, and what I can see is like from tilling the ground to there's a whole process in there that I think captured online can be beautiful. And I hope you heard that helped you out and we answered your question. And Ben Livermore, I hope we helped give you some ideas about your business. And we're now running over time. So Brad, any closing words as we wrap up here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not necessarily in a hurry. So if you want to stick around, we can.
Okay.
If anybody else sounds to, like, we played our last game already.
Okay, good. I'm just really mindful. And so if you're
I got my coffee.
He's got his coffee. So we'll take one more question. Anybody out there? So please post your question because again, who you have is Brad Ouldhouse, the Next Gen Bizman, and you're calling it the Podcast Chatters or
Snapchatters Podcast.
Snapchatters Podcast.
And the premise of the show really is, just to reiterate it, is first of all, it's education. And second, it's, kind of telling the story of some of the people that have influenced the platform and have really pushed it to where it is right now. So, if you want to follow some of the great names in Snapchat, start at my podcast, because I am blessed like none other to start having all of these influencers. It started with Ben. I got lucky. Well, I'm not necessarily lucky with Ben. Ben Figo Americano, Ben Phillips. I reached out to him through Snapchat. That's how he and I connected. I was like, hey, I heard you on the YI Social podcast, Ben, and I've seen your snaps. This is really cool. And then it shocked me because he got back to me. I was like, whoa, I was not expecting that, right? And that's how we built our relationship and our friendship that way. And I know that when he and I meet face to face, that handshake is now a hug. Right. And I can't wait for that. Yeah. It's going to be amazing.
That's a fantastic thing right there.
Yeah. Right. And so, it started happening with others, and then I got lucky and found Aaron, and Aaron was willing to come on the show. So I had a great conversation with Aaron. And then Sean Ayala is another one. Sean Ayala is an amazing Snapchat artist. He creates interactive stories where you can tap on the screen and be a part of the story and interact with it physically. That's a key engagement factor, by the way, if you learn how to leverage that. And then the people coming up on the show. I mean, I just got done with Blake. Blake Croft is all over the place right now. He's doing amazing things, but over the next month, I'm interviewing some of the biggest names, and I never would have thought they would have agreed to it, but they're like, you know what? It's Snapchat. We love Snapchat. And in my head, I'm like, good, because it makes no sense to have a Snapchatters podcast if I can't have the Snapchatters on the show. So, but all the while, they bring tips for newbies. They bring tips for veterans. They make sure they give value to anybody and everybody that is interested in being better at Snapchat. So that's every show. And that's the core values of the show.
Well, I'm just looking at something from Ben. It's at Ben Livermore. He says, I'm pretty new to Snapchat and looking for some feedback from experienced Snapchatters. Could you follow me and let me know what you think of my snaps and what I can improve? Cool. I hope you can follow at Ben Livermore. Tell him what you think of his snap. And that, I think, is a great way to connect with people, because we want to know what people want. We want to give them what we want if we have it, or tell you, I'm not your person, but this is who might be of interest to you. They might be able to help you out in a certain area. But it all starts with making the ask. And so I ask that you follow Ben Livermore. And I actually have to get out of here.
Real quick, let me drop this one super fast. All right, super fast. So, Ben, this ties into your question. Yes, we can definitely collaborate like that on Snapchat. I cannot wait. But here's a really cool way to do it on Snapchat natively. So if you're watching somebody's, somebody that's following me. Willie was in here earlier. I don't think he's here now, but I'm going to tap on his story, what you can do, you can interact with each individual snap, and you can tell somebody right away whether that was crap or that was awesome. It's failing to load. But anyway, as you go through the story, come on, give me something. Jason, I'm sorry, guys. This is completely disorganized. But this ties right into what Ben was asking, and I think it's valuable, and it's just not loading. So thank you, Verizon. You're amazing. Anyways,
don't be bitter, because what you can do is follow Brad.
Right. Yes.
Follow the podcast. Yeah.
Right. And then, check out my snaps. If you and I are following each other and you watch my snap story, there's a little arrow at the center bottom of my snaps. All right. And there's a word under that arrow that says chat. So inside that very snap, you can swipe up and you can type in immediately what you think of that snap, or any thoughts or any emotions, whatever.
Wow.
And you can do that for each individual snap within a story. What that tells me is that content resonated with this person enough to swipe up and engage with me. Right. And that is so much fun. So cool. I'm looking forward to meeting you for sure, Ben.
Cool. Great advice, Brad. Thank you for joining us. And thank you all to everyone who came in this evening. If you didn't catch a show from the beginning, make sure you watch it on replay. And again, I've been with Brad Ouldhouse of the Snapchatters podcast. You can listen to him. He's also Next Gen Bizman, and he really is a all-around nice guy who really digs Snapchat. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you're encouraged. Thanks, Brad.
I am. Thank you so much. This was this meant a lot to me. Thank you so much, Judi.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
All right. Thanks, everybody.